Hi, this is Paul Davies here, and I'm going to continue on today telling you why I'm sure God thinks you're fabulous. And we're following up from last time when I told the story of the lost sheep and how the shepherd found it and got everyone to rejoice with him. And the process was Jesus was telling off the very religious people for their attitude to those that didn't know God. And their attitude was there's rejoicing in heaven at the obliteration of one sinner, and Jesus was exactly the opposite. He was saying that God thinks the opposite, that there's rejoicing in heaven when one sinner is found. The second parable Jesus told to tell them off was the parable of the lost coin. And there was a woman who had 10 coins, and each of those coins was a day's wages. And in those times, they lived from day to day, so every coin was valuable. So she searched and searched and searched, and she found it, and she rejoiced and got her friends to rejoice with her. And Jesus yet again said, there's more rejoicing in heaven over that one lost person than what there is over those that are already found. The final one is the one that really hit the religious people very hard. He told the story of a son who demanded his inheritance from his father and then left and went to a far country. And the father, of course, represents God, who's lost his son, and the son represents those who are not in contact with God. Anyway, the son squandered his inheritance and wound up feeding pigs for a living. Now, in Jewish culture, to have anything to do with pigs meant that you were automatically excommunicated from the family. You would never have been welcomed back in. But when the son came to his senses and decided to return to the father was absolutely rapt. He ran to meet the son, put a robe on him, put a ring on his finger indicating that he was a member of the family, and threw a big party to celebrate. Now, back in those times, wealth and status meant that you could dictate the pace of travel so that when you walked slowly and everyone had to fall in behind you. But in this case, the father throws aside all decorum. He pulls up the skirts of his robes, his long robes that he's wearing, and runs to meet the son and throws his arms around him. That's an indication of how much that father thought of that son. That's an indication of how much God thinks of you. He thinks you are fabulous, absolutely fabulous. That was a smack in the teeth to the religious people who thought that those who didn't know God were worthless. Jesus was saying exactly the opposite. He was saying God thinks you are absolutely priceless. He thinks you are precious. He thinks you are fabulous.